So I was driving up to Napa where I have a listing that's coming soon, and I was thinking about all the things that frustrate me in the business right now. The trying to run a real estate team during COVID-19, trying to hit double our business from last year or more, hiring new agents, teaching them how to do the job, fighting through all of the internal messiness, like the parts of ourselves that think we know better and don't want to listen to someone who does know better. That's really frustrating when you're the person who does know better. Getting people as committed as you, helping clients work through all the emotions they're having that they're trying to work through when they're buying a house or selling a house, and that don't help them at all. They're not those emotions don't serve the clients a lot of the time. They're anxious, they're worried, they're stressed, often about things that they can't control. It's very frustrating, right? And then I'm trying to learn a whole new industry at the same time with getting the mortgage business up and running because the rates are low. And if people want to refinance, this is a really, really good time to do it. So I'm trying to figure out how can I get the word out there and efficiently move people along, getting everything done. So short story, there's a lot of frustration. And I started thinking about how over the years, it's been this way the whole time. It just always feels frustrating. You're like, if I could just solve this problem, it would be so good. And then eventually I do solve the problem and it is so good and another problem comes. And for a moment, I started to just feel a sense of like shame, like I shouldn't always be this frustrated. I'm doing something wrong, as well as hopelessness. Like, is it ever going to not be frustrating? Is it always going to be this way? And I remember that in psychology, they taught us that the definition of frustration is interference with a desired goal. That's how you define when you have that, the emotion you feel we call frustration, which means that there's two pieces to this. You got to have interference and you got to have a goal. If you don't have either of those, you will not experience frustration. And I started thinking like, well, is it really, should I feel guilty or shame that I'm frustrated? Because if there was no interference, I wouldn't feel this way. But what in life doesn't have interference that's worth doing? Whether it's losing weight, getting in shape, getting stronger, learning something new, getting a good relationship, learning a new job, making good friends. There's always interference with that. You always got to work through obstacles. And that's not bad because that makes you stronger. So then I realized, well, the other part of it's a goal. If you don't set big goals, you won't feel frustration. If you don't set goals at all, you won't feel any frustration, right? Like, you got to set a goal to have frustration. So a lot of people that would criticize the frustration that you may experience in your everyday life, those people are really just criticizing setting a goal. They don't want to set goals for themselves. They don't want to create something that might be hard. And so they criticize someone who would feel frustrated a lot. And I've had this complete mindset shift that maybe frustration is healthy. That the people that you want in your life are the ones that are often frustrated because that means they've set an important goal and they're committed to working through it. That if there's someone in life who's never frustrated, that might not be such a great thing like I used to think. It might be an indication that they've just set the bar really low for themselves and they're not trying to accomplish very much. So now I'm looking at stuff like, do I really want to be around people that aren't frustrated? At least some measure of frustration. Do I want to hire someone that doesn't actively deal with frustration? Because if they're not used to that, how are they going to handle it when they come work with me or try to accomplish a goal like financial freedom? Like, that's not easy. If you're thinking you're going to get financially free and it's just going to happen without interference, you're crazy. You're going to have a lot of frustration when it comes to being financially free. That's a big goal. But does that mean you shouldn't set the goal? Of course it doesn't mean that you should set the goal, but you should expect and anticipate frustration, and you should look at it like a sign that you're doing things right. So here's what I want to say. As you go throughout your day, throughout the rest of your weekend, your next week, ask yourself where you are feeling frustration and maybe be proud of yourself that means you set a good goal. Look for the interference that's stopping you from getting it and be grateful for that, because that interference is like the weight that's going to make you stronger. And if you're not feeling frustration, ask yourself if really the answer might be that you're afraid of setting a goal for yourself and that's hurting your life more than if you set the goal and you had to go through some frustration along the way.